Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Tamara Brown. I am an author, blogger, website designer, as well as a publishing consultant and the host of Blog Diaries. And so today I want to talk a little bit about what I learned about pressure and fire. And a little hoarse this morning because I have been working since 4 o'clock this morning and working on my book and working on some other things. But I want to talk about pressure and fire and how sometimes we think that when you're under pressure, you're going to break. I get up every morning. If you know me as a writer, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I write. And then I work on my marketing and I work on other stuff for other people. And so what is blah? Because a lot of people do not know what blah is. Blah is dealing with your broke, dealing with your lonely, dealing with your angry, and dealing with your horny. And so growing up, I realized that a lot of times I can be broken. I was broken, right? And especially well into my 20s and 30s, it was probably the toughest time of my life. One of the tough times was the fact that in my broke, I lost a lot. I lost my Aunt Cookie. I lost my Uncle Khaled. I lost. And so in all of that losing, I lost valuable people. My Aunt Linda. I was dealing with the fact that, I carried my Uncle Khaled's secret. All from the time that I was 14 years old that he was HIV positive. I carried that secret. Nobody else knew. I mean, people speculated, but no one knew about his secret. And so this is the lesson. And I'm kind of talking a lot about my Uncle Khaled because he is the one who educated me. He educated me out of everybody in my life. My Aunt Cookie taught me, but my Uncle Khaled educated me. And I know that people say, what are the differences between being educated and being taught? My Aunt Cookie taught me how to cook. She taught me how to, to make a dollar, turn a dollar into $5. My uncle educated me on life. He gave me the education because sometimes people will teach you things, but it's not always the way that you are supposed to be taught. My uncle educated me on how to be a young lady. He taught me how to deal with pressure because a lot of things that, for me, anybody who grew up in Brooklyn, New York, knew that being under pressure, dealing with, if you had a mother that was on drugs, if you had a family, we lived and slept, 3 to 4 to a bed. And so I knew that being under pressure meant, how do I get out from up under this pressure and become the diamond that I'm supposed to be? How do I come from under fire and realize that, it's just molding and, glistening gold? And then I realized this, and this is the lesson that I learned, is that life is supposed to be about pressure. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. And I talked about my insecurities yesterday. I talked about dealing with a lot of things, but my insecurities were the number one things that weighed on me because I always thought that I was not good enough. And that was the number one thing. And my insecurities didn't spill onto other people. And then I talked about overcompensating, where I would just go above and beyond for people. And two things would happen. I would either become the bad guy, or I would either become the person. When I say the bad guy, people would say, oh, you didn't do enough for me. And I'm still not happy with you. I don't want to be your friend. I just really needed you for the brief moment. And I learned that. I also learned about something that if I don't like something, my uncle was immediate and quick to say what he felt. If he didn't like something you did, he's going to tell you. I don't care who you are. And I was like, that is so wrong. You can't tell everybody. But he said, you'll never, ever get to the bottom of the problem if you stay silent. If you vent to other people about your problems and you don't confront that person, don't ever be afraid to confront somebody. And if you are right, and if you never, and another thing he taught me is that if you are right about something and you've never done something wrong to anybody, Don't ever, 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 don't ever, ever, ever bow down to something you know you didn't do. Don't ever let somebody put a blame on you and tell them to show and prove. You can show and prove to me and documentation, then you're going to need to show and prove. And so when he said that to me, I came to the realization that when you're under pressure, that's God pushing you. That was him pushing me. My uncle telling me that sometimes when Allah, because my uncle was Muslim, that when Allah wants you to step out of your comfort zone, it's time for you to step out of your comfort zone. It's time for you to step out and stop being quiet about things that you don't like. And so yesterday I was speaking with a person that I work with, and I just told them that I didn't like something. And I was like, however the chips may fall, I need to stress this. Because if you do not stress what you don't like, it's going to be a part of your broken. Then you wind up being angry and you got it all inside because you're going to confront that person. And I'm all about confrontation. I'm not about confrontation. I'm all about confronting the issue so that it can be resolved right then and there. And my uncle said you can't let it fester. That's the problem with people. So-and-so said this about me. Then I want you and that person to come and confront me and tell me exactly what I did. Because that's how I am, and I learned that. So yesterday, I had a situation, and somebody had walked in my house. They didn't speak, and they had just came in my house. They just walked through, and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, wait a minute, man. Why are you walking in my house and not speaking? And I was like, and just start announcing the fact that you are coming to my house, and I addressed it yesterday, and it felt like. So it was resolved because they said, oh, I didn't even know that you were here because I didn't even see you. But that's, at least I know how to resolve something. I'm going to address it. Whether it's comfortable or not, I'm going to address the situation, because if you don't address situations, what happens is that it keeps building up, and then you're under this pressure. And yes, that pressure sometimes brings a beautiful diamond, but sometimes that pressure can also cause an explosion. So that, when people look at that, I want you to look at it from both angles, that if you are keeping things under wraps, and I'm not going to say nothing, and it happens in my house all the time with my children. My children, my girls especially, they'll be mad at each other for something, and they'll be like, pss, 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 and pss, 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 and she said, and she did, and she did this, and she did that, and she did this, and she did that, and she did this. And immediately, it never fails. It'll take 3 to 5, usually 24 to 72 hours, and my children will explode. My children will explode, and then they arguing, and then they're fighting, and then they're coming at each other, and I got to be in the middle of it. And then I say to them, you need to address, you let things fester up. It's just like if you don't take care of cancer, right? If you have a lump and the lump is small, but you say, oh, it's just a lump, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Oh, it's just a lump. It festers into a cancer. So a lot of times my kids would do that, and I'd be like, look at this. Now y'all coming against each other. Now y'all arguing against each other. Now you're going at one another's throat. And then it taught me, separate yourself from the explosion. And number 2, confront it. And so the education that I got from my uncle was, pay attention to everything that you see and confront it and deal with it. Deal with it right then and there, and then eliminate it. The next education that I learned from him was about confidence. In the summer, in the last 2 years of my uncle having he discovered that he had full-blown AIDS. So HIV can sit in your system for years. But then he had complications from the disease, from severe diarrhea to hemorrhoids to sarcoma, and where he had on his arms a small, he had a small, I kid you not, he had a small rash, and then the rash spread from the top of his arm to the entire part of his arm, and it spread. He went to the doctor, and I remember going in his room, and he said, "I'm in my last days." And he said, "I'm going in my last days. I am going to educate you about life, and it is up to you. And you have all I can do is educate you. I cannot, um, I cannot teach you, but I can educate you, because people, anybody can teach you. Anybody can teach you, but nobody can educate you the way life is and the way that I am, because I'm educating you out of love." And when he said that, I said, "Oh my God." He said, "Your Aunt Cookie teaches you things. She's teaching you how to cook. But she's teaching you how to do certain things. She's teaching you how to survive. But I'm educating you how to live." And when he said that to me, I thought, oh my God, I needed that. Like, and it came to me because he came to me in a dream. And whenever I'm worried or stressed out, he will come to me in a dream, and he will say, "Remember that I said that everybody can't teach you, but everybody can't teach you, but the person that loves you will educate you." And he said, sometimes the people that hate you will educate you. And when he taught me about education, he taught me that never ever let somebody tell you something if you haven't seen it in fine print. Like, I've learned to educate myself, to read it and believe it. I educated myself, and he educated me that I don't believe that being taught is just somebody telling you something. Like, anybody can tell you anything. I could tell you that if you walk around the corner and piss on the ground, that is not illegal. But if I educate you not to piss on the ground, but to go to the bathroom or knock on somebody's door and ask them, "May I use your bathroom because I really have to go. I'm not a killer or not a murderer. I just need to go to the bathroom," then you're being educated. There's a difference. It's why when you go to a lot of these conferences, a lot of people are just teaching. Right now, I'm just teaching people because I don't have I don't have the degrees and all of the other things, so I can't say that I'm educating you on something because I'm still learning. He taught me about education. He taught me about education, and he said the key is to read every day. My mother educated me to read every day. But she also taught me that when people become to whoop people ass, right? Sandra is an ass whooper. Sandra gonna whoop your ass. Okay, there's no conversation. My cousin taught me to whoop ass with dog chains. I kid you not. My cousin, one day, these girls wanted to fight me out in the street, and she said to me, "If you," and I came in crying. I'm like, "I'm not fighting those girls." She said, "If you don't fight them, you definitely gonna fight me, and you gonna lose. So get your ass downstairs and get in that fight." And what she taught me was how to fight, but what she educated me was to confront your fears. And all that education, the thing about education is sometimes you have to keep studying it, because if you don't, you'll put it to the side. And you'll kind of focus on more of what you've been taught versus what you've been educated. And so all of the education that my uncle put in me was, number one, confront a problem head on. Have it out. It's either going to do two things. It's either going to be, all the pressure is either going to be released, or either it's going to explode. Whatever the case may be, that pressure that pressure is going to either make you better or it's going to make you worse. That fire that you're under is either going to kill you or it's going to burst out into something that is amazing inside of you. And that both, all of the situations are uncomfortable. All of it. It's just uncomfortable, period. But stop not confronting the situation hand on. Stop not speaking about the situation and dealing with the situation at hand. And when I realized that and I understood that, I came to a place of being a better person. And that's why I'm dealing with blah. Blah puts me under pressure, right? Broke, lonely, angry, and horny puts me under pressure. It makes me face myself more than people know. And so usually I'm teary-eyed towards the end of the conversation because I never forget I was at dialysis with Ruben and I was with another parent. And she said, sometimes you need to face your ugly. You got to take the mirror off and you got to face your ugly. And the words that came to me when she said that was face your blah. That's the purpose of me being on here. The purpose of me being on here is to face blahs and help women face their blahs because we've come to this conclusion that it's okay to be broke. And when I say broke, that everything looks perfect on the outside, but on the inside we are jacked up. We're being taught to we're being taught things, but we're not being educated. And I want to be educated going forward. I think it's important that we choose education. Um, we have to deal with our lonely and figure out if the lonely is that we're so secure that we're insecure. We have to deal with our angry, and our angry is whatever it is that you pissed off about, just confront it. You know, when people talk about petty betties usually will make a scene on the outside, but never confront the situation. Just never. They'll just do petty-ish. But they'll never confront it, so they always angry because they have never confronted it and resolved it. As far as horny is concerned, and this is important, I chose to be celibate, as many of you know, but I also choose that to feed my hunger. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about feed my hunger for success. I'm always elevating myself. I'm always wanting more for myself. But I also want more for others. But I'm learning in my horny that a lot of times the hunger that I feel is because I put me to the back burner. And now it's time to step to the forefront. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do my job, but I'm also going to do my job for myself. And so in that process of educating yourself and that part of being taught, so I was taught to put myself in the back burner. I was taught to overcompensate to make people happy. You know, I will share with you an incident, and I'm not proud of it, but it taught me something. It was on a Saturday, and I had a shitload of homework to do. And my Aunt Cookie said, Tamara, I need you to stop, and I need you to go to the store. And I had just went to the store. And the question that I asked my Aunt Cookie was, God rest her soul, please don't punish me. But I asked her, Cookie, is there anything else you need from the store? Because I've already gone to this, because I got a lot of homework that I got to finish in order to pass this class. And she said, no, I don't need nothing else. And then she said, oh, I need a pack of cigarettes. And she just kind of, I was into my homework. I had to get it done. And she said, well, you got it. She just kept, and I just said, I don't want to go, right? Because I was under pressure. And it was the actual feeling that I felt. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And she said to me, you're ungrateful. And it turned into a big argument. We stopped speaking. But when my uncle, who, again, is the person that educated me, confront the situation. Y'all, I would tell you, he said, y'all broads sitting here not communicating is not going to help you. Y'all broads sitting here needing attention and wanting attention out of this and not speaking about it, it's not helping you. You're nitpicking at each other. You roll your eyes and this and that, and you're hurting each other. Deal with the shit now. So we dealt with it, and what I explained to her is that on Cookie, I asked you before I went to the store before, and she said, it's what you've always done. It's always if I call you and you jump, and you can't jump every time somebody calls, and you can't fix everything for everybody. Sometimes in that pressure, sometimes it's just time for you to separate so people can do things on their own. Sometimes you have to separate so that you can focus on your goals and your dreams and your mission and your madness. That's what I decided to focus on. And the purpose of me focusing on that is I decided to focus on it. I decided to focus on myself, but sometimes people think that you're being mean, you're being ugly, and that you don't want something. It's not about that. There has to be a time where you focus on taking care of what is important to you. And when I sent it to my Aunt Cookie, it said, me passing this class meant that I would get to go to Oklahoma in the summer. Me passing this class meant that I would get my Regis diploma. Me passing this class was important. And I just think that you could have waited at least 5 minutes for those cigarettes, or at least give me an hour to do it. And we came to the understanding. She said, you just always did it. I just thought that you would just jump to my command. That's what you've always done. If I tell you to do something, you just do it. And it's not to be disrespectful. It was never the intent to be disrespectful. It was just the intent that I got to take care of Tamara. People become so accustomed to you jumping through hoops because that's what you taught them. You taught them to let you jump through hoops. You taught them that. You taught them and trained them to say that if I call, you're going to jump, and when you don't, it blows people's minds. Period. Because then then they're mad at you. But sometimes I can't jump through those hoops, and sometimes I can't be with you because I'm tired. Sometimes I can't jump through those hoops because I have homework and I have work to do, and I can't do it. And I got to take care of what is important to me, and that's my mental health. And that is why it's important to understand that. To make it clear to people that, I learned something from Oprah when they said you can't be readily available. When you are readily available to people, it puts a need of dependency on them, and you have to stop that. So I took away the need of being readily available to people. I also took away the need of, and this is no lie, I took away the need of wanting to please everybody. I just can't. The education that I have now in life and the education that I didn't have before is you have to know who you are. If nothing else, my uncle used to say that I'm putting me first. I'm going to the doctor first. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to help other people. And he taught me this in alcohol because he was an alcoholic and he was a reformed alcoholic. He taught me that no matter how many times I bought, he said no matter how many times I've counseled somebody not to drink, when the hour was over, they still made a choice to walk out the door and go and buy a drink. He said the education that I'm teaching you is that everything that you do would be done by choice. Not because I taught you and not because I educated. He said all the education that you will get, whatever you use with it, he said, and think about it nowadays, that people who have master's degrees are still working at McDonald's. Right? All those people who are doing all these great things. So it really is a choice. It really is understanding when you're being taught and when you're being educated. And that when you're under pressure, however that comfortable that pressure is, a lot of times that we got to open our mouths. We got to say this is too much for me. We got to say that, no, I can't do that this time. No, I can't be there for you this time. No, I'm not coming to save you. No, 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 and no. I'm not saving you today. I'm not saving you today. And the reason I'm not saving you today is because I can't save you. Sometimes people think that you can't save them because you're being mean. It's not that. You can't save somebody if you can't even save yourself. You just can't. That's the education that I have. What was taught to me is that F you to the highest power and still go save people. That's what was taught to me. But what was educated to me by my uncle, I just chose to be taught and not educated. My mother taught me to live in fear. My mother taught me that when you're under pressure to run. My uncle educated me to face the fire, face the pressure. That's what was educated on me. And so now that I realize that, and I never ever realized it before, now I know who I am. Like, I don't have to define myself for anyone but Tamara, because that's what I'm educating myself on. What I'm teaching myself is to be somebody powerful, to stand with my head high, to never, ever, ever, ever not back down a confrontation. I will, and I literally am not confrontational, but I will confront it. That's just who I am. I do it in my house all the time. I'll be like, no, I'm not going to say nothing. And then I'm like, no, because it'll never be resolved. And once we confront it, the situation is over. Because we get both sides of the story and not just partial sides of the story. So, guys, I want to thank you so much for listening. My name is Tamara Brown. I am an author, blogger, website designer, as well as a publishing consultant and the host of Blog Diaries. I can be found on Twitter at tamlovestowrite.com. I'm at Tam Loves to Write. You can find me on Facebook at Tam Loves to Write. At Twitter at Tam Loves to Instagram, Tam Loves to Write 39. Twitter, Tam Loves to Write. Facebook, Tam Loves to Write. And so, also, I want to just tell you about a wonderful organization, Our Crows Inc., and we are having our first annual ribbon ball. It is centered around faith, hope, and cure. Join us for an evening of bringing awareness of all types of cancers and their ribbon colors and how they affect our community. We will have 50-50 raffles, silent auctions, entertainment, and open cash bar. The cost of it will be $45. It will be at Classic Fives, which will be at 2425 Niagara Falls Boulevard, and the time is from 7 to 11. We will also have speakers and all of those great things. But if you can't make it, sponsor a ticket. You can go to www.ourcrowsinc.org. You can also go to Leap Ticket and purchase a ticket under the title Ribbon Ball, Our Crows Inc. Ribbon Ball. So, guys, I want to thank you. I'm going to start branding myself. I have a book available, Cash Your Money, Cash Your Money, Cash Your Money, Cash Your Money, Cash Your Money. And it is a love triangle about a son, a set of twins and the father, a set of twins and father who sleeps with a young lady named Anika Sin. So it is all about betrayal, how to come out of betrayal, and in the process of betrayal, finding love, finding the definition of love, finding the definition of hate, as well as finding the definition of what didn't kill you will also make you stronger. So, guys, thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.